It is 9 minutes now past the hour. We finish Daybreak this morning with a splash with a longtime friend and just a gentleman that I've known for many years, Judge Dale Price. And Judge, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good to see you.
Good to have you with us this morning. And for people who may not know Dale Price, tell us a little bit about who you are and your family.
Well, I'm a Sylacauga boy. I was born here. I was raised here. I went to Sylacauga High School. Worked with you in radio.
Well, that was a long time ago, man.
We won't say how many years ago, but let's just say a few. Then left for a little while, went to Huntington College down in Montgomery, went to University of Alabama School of Law, and then I came back here and hung my shingle. And I practiced law in Sylacauga for about 30 years. During that time, I met and married Amy Price. A lot of you probably know Amy. She's the Chief Operations Officer and Chief Nursing Officer at Coosa Valley Medical Center. And we have just two extraordinary daughters. Lily Frances Price, she's now a junior at the University of Alabama.
Boy, time flies, doesn't it?
Time flies, Jimmy. It just don't blink. If you've got a little one, don't blink. It's over with before you know it. And then our baby is Catherine Price, and she's now a freshman at the University of Alabama. So Amy and I are empty nesters as of about 5 or 6 months ago, so that's a big adjustment.
Now, one time you had a dog. Do you still have a dog?
Funny you should ask. Charlie was 13 and a half years old.
Wow.
And just a couple of weeks ago, we had to make that
difficult
call.
Yeah.
We had a little funeral in the backyard for Charlie, but he was with us for a long time. He was a really good dog.
What a great companion, right?
Great companion. Good dog.
Yeah. We're talking with Judge Dale Price. Now, your judgeship right now, what's that about?
All right, well, I sit as a district court judge for Talladega County, and I am also the presiding juvenile court judge for Talladega County. One of the four of us, either a circuit judge or a district judge, has to be designated as the presiding juvenile court judge, and that's me. And so I wear two different hats as a judge. You know, sometimes I'm sitting as a district court judge, and sometimes I'm sitting as a juvenile court judge. District court judge is everything from, traffic court to misdemeanors to small claims court to evictions, things like that. And then juvenile court, not to say that misdemeanors and evictions aren't important things, but juvenile court, in my way of thinking, is far more important. We're dealing with children's lives, okay?
Yeah.
And so juvenile court is very, very different from the other things that I do, and I have to switch between those hats pretty much on a daily basis. But we deal with children who don't have a mom and a daddy to take proper care of them. We deal with children who have been accused of doing bad things, delinquency issues. We deal with truancy issues. We deal with termination of parental rights when it's really bad. Those kind of big life-altering kind of things.
And that is, all of those that you mentioned, they're touchy situations.
They are. It is, like I say, it's life-altering, and most so for the child.
Yeah.
When a child, we bend over backwards, Jimmy, to try not to put a child in foster care. Okay, we really do. We will beat the bushes to try to find a family member to take a child in when, for whatever reason, the mom, the dad can't or won't, whatever the situation may be. But, still, even though we work really, really hard not to put a child in foster care, right now there's probably about 80 children in foster care in Talladega County.
Is that a large number?
That number fluctuates constantly. That's probably about average for us. I've seen it just in the last 6 months. I've seen it go as low as about 60, and I've seen it go up into the upper 90s. It's constantly fluctuating. When we do have to put a child in foster care, we work diligently to get them out of foster care. Okay, foster care is inherently unstable. And so we don't want kids in foster care any longer than is
So that's kind of a temporary
necessary.
thing, right?
It's supposed to be temporary. Hopefully it's going to be temporary. There are times when it's not, okay? And some foster parents end up adopting, a foster child that has to be in the system long term. and that's a permanent forever home. That's a good outcome.
Yep.
You know, take a bad situation and end up with the best outcome it can be is when a child gets adopted.
Yeah.
You know, that child didn't ask for any of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, this is not in my notes or anything, but Dale Price, when we adopted Zach, the greatest gift that's ever come into our lives outside of our own children, and Zach is now 15 years old. He's a sophomore at Sylacauga High School. We adopted him when he was 2 years old. And this gentleman right here played such a pivotal role in helping us, and I'll forever be grateful to you for that.
Well, you know, that was my job. I'm glad I was able to help you. I'm glad everything worked out well for you, for Zach, your son.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
That's who it's about. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about your wife. It's about that child.
Absolutely.
And things could not have turned out better for that child.
No
and
doubt
I'm
about it.
very
Now,
happy to have been a part of that.
So what's the future for Judge Dale Price?
Well, you know, Governor Ivey appointed me to serve in this role back in January of 24. Actually, it was 2 years ago yesterday, I think, was when I had my investiture. So I've been on the bench for 2 years now. And I had just this partial term. And so now I'm running to serve a full term. I'm not running to get a different job. I'm running to keep my same job. I'll be on the ballot in the May 19th Republican primary to try to keep this job. It's a 6-year term, and so if the people of Talladega County see fit to keep me on the job, then I'll have another 6 years doing this. And you know, I have absolutely zero desire to go anywhere else. As far as I'm concerned, I've got the best job in the world. I just want to keep it. I just want to keep doing my job. I am not looking for higher office. I am absolutely content to finish my career right here in Sylacauga as district judge.
So campaign's in full swing, I guess.
Full swing, yes. We are underway. And like I say, we'll be for about the next 4 months till May 19th, and then we'll gear up for the general if there's opposition.
So in this campaign, how do you talk to people as to why they should elect you for a 6-year term, full 6-year term, in the judgeship?
Well, you know, my primary goal, and I think if you know, most folks don't ever come see me, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. People don't come see me when things are going well, and so most people probably don't even really know what I do on a day-to-day basis. But talk to the lawyers, and I think all the lawyers that come into my courtroom will tell you that first and foremost for me is adherence to the law. I am a law and order kind of guy. It's not my job to make the law. It is my job to take the law as it's been handed to me by the legislature and apply it as even-handedly as I possibly can. That's what I strive to do every day. When I'm wearing my district court judge hat, that's what I try to do. If somebody is guilty, I want to find them guilty, and if somebody's not guilty, my goal is to find them not guilty. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. Nobody ever is going to be perfect, but I strive every day to achieve that perfection, knowing that I'll never achieve it. Then when I'm wearing my juvenile court hat, same thing. I try to stay within the confines of the law, but first and foremost is always the welfare of that child in my mind. That's what comes first.
Would you consider yourself as a no-nonsense judge?
I think probably most people would consider me a no-nonsense judge. I definitely am. I am, you know, by the book. We have a job to do. Let's hunker down. Let's do it. And, you know, the old saying, justice delayed is justice denied.
Yeah.
We're going to get the job done. We're going to do it as expeditiously as possible without cutting any corners now. But we're going to do it as quickly and as you know, just as quickly as possible.
And we're talking with Judge Dale Price, and just to hear you talk this morning, and I've known you a long time, but just to hear you talk, you have a real love and concern for the youth of America.
That is where my passion is. That is why I wanted this job. You know, trying speeding ticket cases, you know, that's part of the job. I don't mind doing it. I'm going to continue doing it. But that's not the reason I wanted this job, Jimmy. Yeah. I wanted this job so that I could continue what I'd been doing for 30 years just from a different perspective, and that's tried to help these kids who are in vulnerable situations. And some of these kids are in very vulnerable situations. They need a strong advocate in the courtroom, and they need a judge who is going to be looking out for them. And that's what I try to do.
So we're talking with Judge Dale Price, and the Republican primary is coming up, what, in May?
May 19th.
Okay. And so how do you balance, you know, you're running for a full 6-year term, how do you balance that and making sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted in your courtroom?
Well, you know, there's only one answer to that, and that's work hard. And that's all I've ever known. I've worked hard my entire life. You've known me since I was basically a kid. We started working together, and that's all I've ever known. I have worked my entire life, and I'll continue to do so until the good Lord sees fit to demand otherwise. But just hard work. You know, I put in a full day's work at the office 5 days a week, sometimes 6. And then after all that's done, then I do what's necessary to try to convince the good people of Talladega County to let me keep it for another 6 years.
How big is it that you've got a companion beside you that thinks like you think and caring about the people that we care about?
You know, Amy Price is you know, not only my best friend, but she's also my biggest supporter, and I'm hers as well. But Amy, anybody who knows Amy knows, I mean, she's just a phenomenal lady. You know, Amy's known as as the person who can get things done, and she is absolutely my bedrock. Without her, I don't think that I would be where I am today. I don't think that I would have a shot at running a successful campaign. I'm going to work hard, you know, I'm going to do everything that I can, but even with that, I don't think I'd be able to do it without Amy. I know I wouldn't be able to do it without just this broad network of friends that I have supporting me. But yeah, Amy is absolutely my cornerstone.
Before we go this morning, Dale Price is our guest this morning, running for re-election in the judgeship Talladega County in the May Republican primary election. What are 2 or 3 things, Judge Price, that you would like to see develop in Talladega County as far as our judgeship is concerned, coming up for a 6-year term?
Well, funny you should ask, I have just begun working towards this, but I'm sure it's no surprise to you or anybody else out there, but one of the primary difficulties that we have is drugs. 95% of the children that I deal with, where I have to place a child with a grandparent or in foster care or another family member, the underlying cause is drugs. You go to criminal court, 90% plus of the underlying cause of a crime is drugs. It may be a robbery, it may be a burglary, it may be something like that, but why are they robbing somebody? Why are they burglarizing a home? They're doing it to get money to buy drugs. Drugs are absolutely a scourge on our society. And we're not alone in this. All across rural America, it's the same story. We have got to address that core issue in a way that actually has a chance at working.
So filling our jails is not the answer.
Well, I've had a lot of folks who have been to prison and been to jail come into my courtroom, and to a one, they'll tell me it's easier to get drugs in prison than it is on the streets. Okay, so I'm not sure that that's the answer.
Yeah.
And we've been trying that for 50, 60 years now, and you know, it doesn't seem to be working. So there are plenty of data that indicate that another approach has a little bit better success rate. And at this point, I'll take a little bit better success rate over no success at all. And so what's called accountability court. And the Alabama legislature just passed a law last year that kind of expanded accountability courts. Drug courts is what they're commonly referred to. I have created a parents' accountability court for juvenile court. Because like I say, about 95% of the children that I end up having to remove from the mama, from the daddy, underlying cause is drugs. And even, Jimmy, even in a bad situation, when a child has to be removed, it is traumatic for that child. And if we're really trying to help the child, then we want to avoid that trauma. And how can we avoid that trauma? We can try to fix the reason that it makes it necessary to remove the child in the first place. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't have all the answers any more than anybody else does. But the data indicate that this approach can help reduce the numbers of children that have to be removed. So we're going to give it a shot. We launched our accountability court about 3 months ago. We are underway, and we're going to try to make a difference in some of these children's lives.
Okay. Dale Price, our guest this morning. Dale, as we leave, I want you to speak to the people that throughout Talladega County, and of course this broadcast is throughout the state of Alabama, and the importance of you voting, ladies and gentlemen, cannot be underscored enough, and that is an issue that we faced, getting people to the polls and vote. Why should they go to the polls and put Dale Price, mark you as a judge for 6 years in Talladega County?
30 years of experience practicing law in Sylacauga, 2 years experience now on the bench. You will not find anybody who has a greater passion for helping children than what Dale Price has. I'm going to ask every citizen in Talladega County to get out and vote on May 19th in the Republican primary, and whether you vote for me or not, get out and vote. It's important to have your voice heard, but I would ask you to consider voting for me. Like I say, you're not going to find a stronger advocate for children than Dale Price.
All right, Dale, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you, Jimmy.
And good luck in the campaign.
Thank you.
Judge Dale Price, our guest this morning. We'll come back with some closing thoughts on Daybreak right after this.